thirteen, and I'm back with one I'm excited for tonight. Tonight is going to be black-white tokens, and we get to play with Serra. Super excited about this card. Angel Tribal's always been. It was actually my first EDH deck I put together. Unfortunately, she's not going to be very good in Angel Tribal in Modern, but we're still going to try to jam Serra herself. So we're going to be visiting the black-white token archetype. It used to be an event deck. You used to see it a little bit more. It's kind of transitioned into black-white mid-range these days, but we're still going to be trying to jam the old style, see how it does in the current meta. So to start off, Serra. Her +2 gives all creatures with flying +1/+1 until end of turn. She can come down and create a Serra Angel for 4 mana, or you can get an emblem that's basically worship. We're basically going to try to abuse her first. Modern's really fast and quick, and we basically just want to put a big clock with our tokens. So Lingering Souls is going to be #1 choice. Lingering Souls is a very powerful magic card. Actually took me a little while to come around to this one, but the strength of it is just so amazing. Then we're going to be playing with Spectral Procession. So hopefully we'll be able to cast this for 3 mana under most circumstances. We'll get 3 spirits. Serra will make that 6 power on turn 4. It's a pretty decent turnaround. Whoops. Then we get Bitter Blossom. Every upkeep we get a 1/1 Black Fairy, but hopefully it's not going to stick around as a 1/1. We also have Intangible Virtue, so that all of our tokens get bigger and have Vigilance. And then we're also running the new Force of Virtue. So in a pinch, we can exile a white card, otherwise it's just a flash anthem effect. Basically make all of these tokens that we're getting on the cheap really powerful. And then last but not least, we're backing this up with a powerhouse of white and black cards, Path to Exile, Fatal Push, Inquisition, as well as the new Kaya's Guile and the new white-black Horizon Land. So Kaya's Guile will make it so that we can just get a bunch of different value depending on where it is. We can get the most effective use of our cards, and yeah, hopefully we'll be doing some fun stuff with Serra here tonight. So let's take a look at this. Love to play first. Right off the bat, we have our mana, cantrip, Lingering Souls. We're going to lose to a fast start from just about any other deck. But let's see, we can try to mulligan down to 1 mana interaction. We can try to... I mean, we can have better starts than this. Yeah, I think I've got to be disciplined. A turn 3 Lingering Souls just isn't good enough. We need to have some kind of discard or interaction. This is a little bit better. We have Legion's Landing, Intangible Virtue. All these cards I'm pretty happy with. We are on the play, which means that we're going to awkwardly have a 1-drop that we can't cast off the Shambling Vent, but what can you do? Force of Virtue can also make it just so that we can pitch the Legion's Landing if it comes to it. Just anthem up all of our spirits. Hopefully drawing a white source in the near future for the Spectral Procession. And what do we find on type? Another Intangible Virtue. I think we just need to find some gas so that can go to the bottom. Alright. Here you go, opponent. And it's Tron, which means we need to have a very fast clock. That likely means Intangible Virtue's coming down. 1/1 Lifelinker is just not going to do anything in this matchup. That is an interesting Lingering Souls, though. If we don't find a land drop, won't really do a whole lot, but we just got to try to get this clock out as fast as possible. Hopefully they stumble a little bit. Getting a little bit of attrition and trying to put together a fair strategy is a little hard. Just a little bit on the hard side. Oh, it's Eldrazi Tron. Okay. It's not nearly as bad. There's a Matter Reshaper. Force has to happen on opponent's turn. Yeah, we don't need to do it now. Love a white source. Pretty please. I guess that works. Legion's Landing comes down. That'll give us a 2/2 lifelinker. Force of Virtue will make it a 3/3. Wow, and Moto is struggling again. Gonna have to run another speed test. I don't know why it's been struggling so much. Yeah, this is eating out of our clock, but we can't do anything about it. Come on down now, Moto. I believe in you. Oh, wow, this is struggling. All right, sorry about that. I was just trying to see what's going on. I'm gonna take my headset off for a second and try to troubleshoot this. I'll be right back. Okay, well, it looks like we're back. Opponent ran out of Blast Zone. It can take out the Legion's Landing. Odds are they're going to try to pick it up to 3. I'm going to go ahead and cast this Force of Virtue because it'll be a little while before I can actually do anything about it. Let's see. And stuck in my upkeep, but this time opponent's clock is going down. That's acceptable. I can Path Matter Reshaper. It's only when it dies. Opponent's going to be able to get a Tron land. I can Path my own Vampire and get the mana for Lingering Souls / Spectral Procession, although pathing your own creature is never, ever where you want to be. Let's see. Let's go ahead and just get in. Opponent's likely going to block, and I'm just going to path my own creature. I really need the mana to do anything here, and this Lingering Souls is going to put out 6 power flying, which is relevant. Yep, alright. Figured he was going to do that. Losing the life is kind of sad and depressing, but here we are. Really, really, really need to make that land drop. Plus, I want to show off Serra tonight, and the only way I can actually do that is by getting the mana to cast her. Blast Zone goes up to 2. Flipping Legion's Landing is also possible off the Spectral Procession. Alright. Part of the Lingering Souls is perfectly acceptable. If I draw mana, it means that I can multicast. If not, it means that I have a couple of flying beaters. Cracking the Expedition map here means that they're going to have Tron active, which means probably a Karn's coming down. It's never where you want to be at. I don't even really know what I want to come down. Like, new Karn or old Karn? Alright, well, I don't have a lot of faith here. Odds are this actually might even be an Endbringer. I'm kind of okay with an Endbringer. Blowing up Blast Zone will make my spirits 2/2s. 9 mana for Eldrazi spells. I'm assuming this is a walking ballista and they meant to pay 8 mana for it. Yeah. Still don't know what opponent's trying to do. 7 mana. 9 mana. 10 mana. Okay, so this is going to be a problem. It's going to be a Nulamog, probably eat my enchantments. %, ate the enchantments. Not attacking, they're slightly loose, but they have a Nulamog, so it's not like it matters. I can draw into a path, but that means that I have to Inquisition this turn, path, draw path off the top. I'm going to exile 20 cards. Let's just take a look at what opponent's doing and scoop it up. I don't think we're making much progress from here. Dismember, Ugin. Yeah, they even have the Ugin. Alright, good enough. What do we want versus Tron? I actually don't believe anything. Didn't come very prepared for this. We could have had a number of Field of Ruins in the board. That's probably a mistake to not have. I think we're just going to try to be explosive and hopefully not miss too many land drops like last time. Currently down a game versus Eldrazi Tron. Although, I don't think they're technically Eldrazi Tron if they have Ugin and Dismember. Dismember is actually Eldrazi Tron. Ugin's not. Extirpate could potentially snag something, but without Field of Ruin, there's no point in bringing it in. Kaya actually might be a little interesting, but she's not going to be able to take anything that actually matters with her minus, and probably not going to get too much exiled for her ultimate. Overall, just really bored in the hate for Hogak. And then some stuff for burn, discard. This go around, we actually registered fair magic cards. Yeah, 1/1's not going to affect very much. Is that protection from artifacts or Worm Coil? This is Inquisition into Bitter Blossom with Force. Definitely had worse hands. We actually have a curve. Almost catching up to opponent's clock. Alright, so there's a Chalice, a Thought Knot, no fast mana. These are all cards we can kind of deal with. Also means that we have to draw land without them hitting an Eldrazi temple in order to get the Serra down. That's slightly depressing. But we hit our first land. Bitter Blossom's going to do a non-zero amount of damage to us given the fact that they have Reality Smashers and the like. another Inquisition's not bad. I can't expect to grab anything here, so we've seen the power plant and the scavenger grounds. We might hit a Matter Reshaper or a Dismember. Nope. Alright. Well, still no Eldrazi Temple. Although that all this does is gonna hurt. Alright, and that's actually a land. So I need to get a white source here for Spectral Procession. Then, because opponent has been missing their Tron lands, I think I'm actually just going to create a Serra. It'll be able to block the Thought Knots here. And then get some beats in. And currently have 9 damage on the table on turn 4. For tokens, that's actually kind of impressive. Basic Waste was the draw, which means TKS is coming down. And we technically have opponent dead on table. Let's cycle this guy first. There's a Spectral Procession. That was a mistap. I should have planned for that. Oh well. Attack with all creatures. I'm actually going to leave this one out in case they actually do find a way to All Is Dust. But opponent's at 6, and I have lethal, so... Still 2 mana off from All Is Dust. Sending all of it at me. I'll take the free block. And the third Serra. Alright, well, given the fact that we drew Serras that turn. And we don't play with our food here. Unless we really, really have some spice going on. But this is just generic beats. Again, I don't think I have anything I actually care about here, so I guess I could bring in the Wrath of God. Actually take out a lot of Eldrazi on the ground. Although, I really don't want to dilute my own game plan. So would that be a Wrath of God for a Fatal Push? Yeah, I actually don't mind that. I can at least pitch the Wrath of God to the Force of Virtue. And that's a deck building mistake now that I'm actually looking at it. I should have had the Wrath main board and the Damnation side just so I could actually pitch it to the Force. Alright, well, opponent's going to be on the play, and probably actually hit Eldrazi lands this go around. We have a tapped Godless Shrine into a Plains Bitter Blossom Spectral Procession Serra. That's not bad. That's representing 8 damage. It's a little slow, but Inquisition's not really going to help us here. We even trimmed a Fatal Push. Opponent's going to have a Eldrazi Temple for a turn 2 play. This is a respectable 7. It's not great, but respectable. I'll give it a shot. And do your worst, opponent. You're playing big dudes and I'm playing little ones. Urborg. That actually actively helps him cast Dismember, so I'm going to wait on that as long as possible. Also makes it so I can't cast my Spectral Procession. Fatal Push is okay. There's my Bitter Blossom. I feel like this is the first time I haven't been playing counterspells against a Cavern deck in a while. Alright, so Tron's not active yet. Ooh, opponent has nothing? Alright, so Serra here is going to represent +4 damage. Alternatively, I mean, we came here to cast Serra. There's no way I'm not doing this. And opponent shouldn't really have a way to interact with me, so I'm going to go for the Worship Emblem. I guess they have All is Dust. They're going to Dismember? Wow. Okay. That token did 2 more damage. Alright. So Eldrazi Tron did show one of the weaknesses of not being consistent. That game 3 was basically just a buy. I feel like we did put up a good fight, but Serra also showed that like even little tokens without any buffing, like Serra comes down, makes it a real clock. Like it would have been awesome if we had a intangible virtue to slam there or something, but hey, I'm not complaining. She did what she was supposed to. The one card that's not showing up is Legion's Landing / Adanto. I still haven't really had the time to figure out why flip cards aren't registering correctly. Hopefully going to get that done by next week, but overall, I actually really like the way this deck looks. I'd always love to get Liliana the Velen, but I didn't think she really fit the strategy nearly as well as she does the white-black mid-range. Soren's going to be great for getting +1/+0 emblems and just throwing out a couple more chump blockers. Like, this deck was a real thing. I can't keep this on the play. Single land off color. This is alright. Hopefully it's a matchup where Inquisition's decent. Tauron. Oh boy. I still don't have a payoff yet, but I think that that's going to be good enough. Top decking any token generator will give me a clock. Alright, what you doing over there? Spirits. Alright, not touching the path. Selfless Spirit's not really going to matter. So it's going to be a Supreme Phantom. The next Inquisition can grab the next one. And I have a path for the Selfless. Yeah, I think I'm going to wait as long as I can on this path. An opponent actually has only shown me one more land. They're kind of on an anemic draw here. There's a Sanctum, Selfless Spirit comes down. Yep, and that Selfless Spirit actually trades with my Spirit, so I'm not going to touch it yet. I'll be able to hold that path through the Intangible Virtue. Alright, so each opponent sacks a creature. Exile all cards in a graveyard. Create a 1/1 Spirit, gain 4 life. Is it worth creating the token now? Actually, yeah, I want to do this before they can Spell Queller me. So let's go ahead and make them sack their Selfless Spirit, get a 1/1 token, and it will become a 2/2 next turn while holding up Path. Found a land and a noble. Alright. Tangible Virtue hopefully baits out the Path to Exile. Tangible Virtue should tell them that we're a token deck. Vigilance also means I can block the Noble if they try to get any beats in. At a very healthy 19 versus Spirits. Alright. My spears are bigger than theirs. Need white for the Spectral Procession. But anything they do this turn, I've got a path for, followed up with a Lingering Souls. Although I probably want to save the Lingering Souls in case they try to Spell Queller it. Ouch. The pain. And a Force of Virtue. Alright. I like these cards. Sorry, opponent, but my spirits are better than yours. You are getting some cards in hand, though. You're not running out land, so I'm expecting you're on gas. You're on the green versions. I'd expect a Cocoa at some point in time. Alright, so they clearly had something, decided they'd rather flash something in. So we are ahead on board state. Urborg shouldn't help opponent. This allows me to force and path. So let's get some beats in. I'm totally expecting a Cocoa, at which point I can just flash in Force of Virtue, still kill their blockers. Huh, okay. Really don't know what to make of that. And they still didn't do anything. I am kind of confused now. They should have... I don't know. Did they decide they wanted to use Spell Queller and I just didn't give them the opportunity? And I'm gonna hit up and board. I don't have to commit anything. Okay. This is going to be Lingering Souls. Let's actually cast it from the yard. This should bait out the Spell Queller. Yep. As expected, and then now I get this Lingering Souls, and I can still Force of Virtue on their turn and get big enough that if they try to Lord, they can't get past my spirits. Deputy of Detention. That does stop what I was doing. Oh, on the Intangible Virtue? That wasn't the best call, opponent. I have removal. Ooh, I even have Kaya's Guile, and I can entwine it now. So, create a spirit, gain life, exile a graveyard. The sack a creature would be the noble. Yeah, let's just go ahead and path that in the game. Are you running Force of Negation? Alright, so opponent's going to have to chump block. Really don't want to show him this, but it'll end the game, so may as well. Alright, that is round one. So, Champion can help here. Wrath is going to help here. I'm not going to have protection from any of their creatures, but I'll actually gain some life. Although, I'm just going to have tokens that get bigger than their things. Inquisition's mildly on the weak side just because it's a bad top deck, and I assume we're going to go to top decks. Actually, Kaya's Guile seems the worst. It can only snag an early creature. I'll just do that. And I actually need to run into the room and grab my laptop. I will be back in 10 seconds. Sorry about that. I am back. This hand has a path, an intangible virtue, and many, many tokens. I am on board. This is exactly what we wanted to do. All right, opponents on the vial. We even have a Wrath of God to clean up. It must be my birthday. Opponent's deck is really good at flanking spot removal, but not really good at recovering from board clears. Humans does quite a bit better in that regard. Oh boy, that Thalia has to get removed. So, Path Thalia in combat. Actually, let's just get her now. Now they can't spell Queller it. Playing the Swamp here might have actually been a misplay. I should have left the white out for Spectral Procession. I'm assuming I'm going to try to Wrath of God first, but in my head I wanted to get my colors. In reality, I should have left up as much of that as I could. Here, Bitter Blossom can come down. It can potentially get Spell Quellered. Alternatively, I can just Inquisition. This is setting opponent up for a Spell Queller and then a Lord. I'll be looking at taking probably 5 on the backswing. Then I'll have Wrath open. Alternatively, I just Intangible Virtue. See if they want to Spell Queller at Inquisition and then follow it up with a Wrath of God the following turn. This will bait out anything that they actually have. They had a Knight of Autumn and a Coco. Okay. I horribly misread that. Oh, they even cycled a land. Alright, so they have the Coco up, as well as 2 unknown cards. I think that means I'm actually on Spectral Procession now, and then they'll get me a couple of blockers out. They'll probably try to counter this with a Spell Queller off of the Coco, which will set me up for the Wrath of God, assuming that they don't actually have something good to in their unknown cards. What did you find? Oh, they had Knight of Autumn. Well, that means Knight of Autumn can't attack. Drugskull Captain is a little weak here. I can put all my blockers out. If they have a Lord, they'll flash it in. That's unfortunate. That's even less fortunate. .100% blocking that. This is what I've got, opponent. Get in for free here. If they have nothing in hand, which means they only have the current board state, and they're not going to trade any of these for half of a token. Also means they should only be able to get in with one thing on the backswing. Drawing into something like a Spectral Procession or a Lingering Souls is the goal here. Okay, now they can get in. Probably going to have to run out the Wrath of God as a bait for either the Wanderer or the Selfless Spirit here. Yeah, Godless Shrine doesn't even fix that. Well, this acts as a bad removal spell. 4 mana, sack one of 2 creatures. It's probably more correct to do Selfless Spirit here to protect against a removal spell off the Godless Shrine, although that could be just a 2-for-1. Oh, if they actually sack the Selfless Spirit here, I'm going to lose my tokens. I should have attacked first. I wouldn't have gotten in through the Phantom. That's fine. And I do want to run this out. I don't have Secure the Waste in my list, but it is most correct. It also means I can double block now. So attacking in is significantly worse. They can get an alpha whenever they decide to sack the Selfless Spirit, but... or they just have the Giver. So I double block the Selfless Spirit. They just sack it to give their team indestructible. I take 5, go down to 3. Bitter Blossom kills me in 3 turns. I double block the Drog Skull Captain, take 6, dead in 2 turns, but get a Lord off the field. Yeah, I think I take the Captain. If they want to sack the Selfless Spirit, they just get in for less damage, but then they lose Hexproof, which turns on my pass and my pushes. Alright. Force of Virtue. I don't really think that does anything, because they can just give pro and kill me in 2 turns, or if they just attack in, yeah, I'm dead. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to attack in, they'll just give pro black, and then this will attack in as a 4-4 off the Noble, and it'll die to the Bitter Blossom on upkeep. So Spirits gets this round. Hopefully being on the play will just be a turn faster. That was a perfect example why I thought the life gain was going to be good. Kaya to exile the Giver of Runes actually feels relevant here. So just trading Kaya for Guile, and yeah, that seems fair. This is turn 1 Shambling Vent, turn 2 Bitter Blossom, Intangible Virtue, Lingering Souls into Serra. The only thing I think this is missing is Intangible or the Force of... Geez, what's that one called? Force of Virtue? Fatal Push. Oh boy. Alright, well, you know the old saying, bolt the bird. If they kept this on the ability to keep mana, this is going to be my best line. It also allows me to get a tapped dual land here. And then I won't be taking a ping from the Silent Clearing. When I play Bitter Blossom, that should give me a full another turn with it. That is a Thalia. Alright, so I'm just playing on curve now, which is fine. Fetid Heath is free. think I just want Bitter Blossom here. The longer it's out, the better value I get from it. All right, opponent, what you got going on? Drog Skull Captain. Alright, so Lingering Souls will make attacking awkward. I'll at least be able to kill the Thalia more than likely. Intangible Virtue will make my Fairy a 2-2, which doesn't actually feel that relevant here. Yeah, just gonna Lingering Souls. Get a couple more blockers out there. Most efficient use of mana. All of that. Then I do have to be kind of wary of Path. Am I willing to trade 3 flying blockers for a land? I think it depends on what opponent does first here. If they're clearly baiting and leaving up 2 mana for the Path on the attack. Then I won't bother. That is a Selfless Spirit. So, they don't have Path mana. Because of Thalia. Yeah, let's do this. This should get rid of the Selfless Spirit. They do get 2 of my spirits, but whatever. That was half a Lingering Souls. And it just worked as a removal spell. Then here, if I draw a land, I get Serra, I get to make an angel. That is not. Although, that is free shenanigan-y blocking. So, let's go white, 1/1. Tangible Virtue. This lets me swing in for 2. And then, if I need to pop Force of Virtue, I can. That'll make my creatures a 3/3 and able to block both of theirs. They did leave up Cocoa mana here. I'm actually okay with that. I was considering, in response to the crack, using my Force of Virtue, because that meant that they couldn't actually Cocoa into a Spell Queller. Still leaving up the Spell Queller mana. 2 cards in hand. How badly do I want to respect that? I guess if they attack, I can try to Force a Virtue. See what happens. Deputy of Detention. Great. Alright, what are they going to hit? Fairy Rogue seems acceptable. That makes this awkward, though. So I'm going to be on Lingering Souls. I'm getting a Bitter Blossom token. Do I want to Force a Virtue? Force a Virtue will make them 3/3s. Opponent shouldn't be able to attack in through that. Yeah, I think I have to do this, and I think I have to do it with the Lingering Souls, because I can still cast this one if I don't top deck a land. That Deputy of Detention was painful. Alright. Alright, opponent, 1 card in hand. If it's another Deputy of Detention, it's all yours. You got it. Looking back, when I double blocked, I probably should have put both as many Fairy Rogues in front of it as I could. I knew Deputy of Detention was in the realm of possibility. No attacks. All right. Well, if they don't want to attack and they don't have another deputy, I actually think I'm winning this race. Lingering Souls is a very powerful card. Now I do need to take one more from this. That's actually painful. So if I draw an untapped land, I can play Serra plus attack in with 6 4/4s. Only 2 need to get through, which 3 currently will. That's right, respect my authority. Alright, opponent, what you got? So, the pause here, I'm getting the read that they have something sorcery speed. Yep, they realize they're dead on the backswing even without Serra. Alright, well, that's moving up to a pretty easy 2-0. I do feel like some of those were opponents' misplays, but whatever, I'll take what I can get. Unfortunately, kind of a slower stream. Like, I had to step away for a minute, had internet issues, but what can you do? We're playing black-white tokens, and we're actually being successful. Despite the fact we didn't get to play Serra there, she did show some of her strength. She was just going to add 6 power to the field with either of Serra token or just for the attack. Oh well. Alright, we got an opponent. Is there anything I'm missing so far in this deck? Like, I don't really think so. As much as I'd like Liliana, I don't think I'm really missing her. The 4-mana Gideon was also a consideration. Ally of Zendikar should have been able to... Okay, this hand is slow, but it does what I want it to do, which is interact a little bit to keep us alive, and then Spectral Procession with some buffs. Polluted Delta. Into an island for Serum. Okay, I'm getting the read that this is a Narset deck or Thing in the Ice Phoenix. And that was just an off-color fetch. Kai's Guile. Alright, well, I don't want to take the shock here just because I don't know what we're playing against, and I can always path on my turn. Alright, looking a lot like Phoenix. There's a Thing in the Ice. And yet another Force of Virtue. So I'm going to hold up path here and hope to get Kai's Guile on sacrificing the Thing in the Ice. I think that's my strongest line. There's another Thing in the Ice. Alright, well, as long as they don't have Spell Pierce up, I've been Spell Pierce and snared by these decks far too often recently. I'll go ahead and path during my turn, untapping Kai's Guile. Actually, if I wait on Guile, I can also get the Graveyard. If they untap, they're flipping this Thing in the Ice, so I can't Spectral Procession. I think I have to wait on Kai's Guile. I might even need to take a full hit before I Kai's Guile. I'm not excited about it, but if they're going to Faithless Looting here and try to flip Thing in the Ice and attack in with Phoenixes, it's my best line. There's a Sleight of Hand. Red source is probably a Bold or a Faithless Looting. There's a Faithless Looting. Surgical. Alright, well, exile all cards from your opponent's graveyard, and opponent sacks a creature. Unfortunately, no Phoenixes, but still decent amount of value there. Then that means that as long as they're tapped out, I can use one Force of Virtue so that my Spectral Processions are a decent size. This comes in tapped. There's 6 power, which is going to be 9 power next turn. Aria Flame. Alright, I'll gain 10 life, then swing back for 9. Geez, even the Shambling Vent's going to get +1/+1 from Force of Virtue. I'm liking that. Opponent with the upkeep stop. Ooh, Path. Perfect. Hit you for 9, go down to 5. You have to kill 2 creatures to even survive here. If you try to run out of creature, I've got a path for it. Feels good, man. I don't actually want to yield to that. I have the feeling that something's going to come up where I care. Sack the Fiery Izzet. Actually, if he has enough cantrips, probably won't. Is that game? Alright, Thought Scour. Going for it. Respect. You need to find a Surgical Extraction. And Manamorphose? I mean, you're still dead. I have Shambling Vent, but sure. You know I run paths. Alright. Extirpate definitely coming in. Snags Phoenix. Kaya doesn't really hit Thing in the Ice. Don't care too much about that. Leyline of Sanctity can stop a couple of things. Leyline of the Void isn't really good here. Actually, what's the verbiage on Aria of... What is that thing called? Aria of Flame. That's not how that works. Each opponent gains 10 life, put a verse counter on it, then it deals damage to target player or planeswalker. Leyline of Sanctity going to make a heroic appearance here for the Aria of Flame sideboard deck. What do we care about? So tokens get flipped by Thing in the Ice, so I'm a little less inclined to keep those. Fatal Push hits Thing in the Ice, so that's staying in. Inquisition can kind of take out a key part of their comboing off start. I really don't think that's relevant unless we're on the play. Let's go ahead and trim a couple of those, see how that goes. Lingering Souls, castable from the graveyard feels relevant, but they have Surgical. Actually, being on Surgical, I think I'm just going to trim a number of 4-ofs in the Damnation. Yeah, that seems fine. Most scientific boarding ever. Just click on a couple of things. Leyline of Sanctity, a tap land, interaction. This stops what they're doing, and we're on the draw, so I'm okay to try this. If they have the turn 2 arc lights, this feels horrible, but we could always top deck a land. Please deck. Nope, they're just going to set up. Slow land. These work better than fast lands when you're trying to cast things for 4 CMC. Oh, look at that. Deck, you done right by me. It's not a white source for Spectral, but it can push a thing in the ice or it can extirpate Phoenixes depending on how they go. Oh, look at that. I have a card for you. Shambling Vent. I actually think I'm going to Intangible Virtue here. Opponent's tapped out. It's possible they go for Phoenixes and I get punished, but I do have to start furthering my game plan, which is a little ways off thanks to the Spectral Procession. I found an Arc Light. Alright, what'd you do? Another one, Faithless Looting. Oh, don't bin. Okay. One Phoenix I can deal with. I have a Path of Exile for that guy. Doing it while they're tapped out, just in case they have interaction. It is more correct to do it on upkeep if you're expecting no interaction, which this deck shouldn't be running. But I've been spell pierced and spell snared out of this deck, despite the fact it doesn't work with their game plan. They didn't show us any in their yard yet, but I'd rather just be cautious and not do it. Look at that. I even get to hold up my Extirpate. If opponent actually did bring in Blood Moon, I'm kind of screwed at the moment. Lava Dart is a free cast, but they can't target anything I currently have. Alright, I need to find an answer for that. Sleight of hand. What have they done so far this turn? So they cast Thing in the Ice. Yeah, that's fine. I was trying to figure out if there's a chance a Phoenix was coming back there, but... Odds are they just flip Thing in the Ice and kill me? They've shown me 1 mana Morphos, multiple Thought Scours. I can Spectral Procession, but I'd wait until they flip it. I think I can take 1 hit from this pretty solidly. So I can run him out, send the hit to Sorin. Alternatively, just leave up Shambling Vent as a blocker? No, this is what we're doing. We're going to run out Sorin and get an emblem. Then that way if they want it... Oh boy. Nope, they're just going to Lava Dart it. Alright, well that was a mistake. I took Extirpate off the table and gave them a free kill of Sorin. As well as being allowed to hit me for 7 off the Thing in the Ice. I could not have messed that up harder. So they'll flash back to Faithless Looting, discard whatever Phoenixes they've got. Lava Dart Sorin. Really considered extirpating the Thing in the Ice. That was a punt and a half. And there are the Phoenixes. Alright, well, this means Spectral Procession's coming down. Opponent has 1 bolt, 2 bolt. They have 2 bolts left in their deck, 20 cards left. And then they're going to flip this thing in the ice and kill me. Alright. Well, that was a horrible punt. The punts are real. Does this change anything? They definitely kept in their phoenixes. Arya's something we just can't deal with, so we still need the Leyline of Sanctities. Let's go ahead and take out the Kaya's Guiles for the ley lines. We can trim a Serra for another ley line, and without a way to discard them, these are such awkward draws, though. Yeah, let's just keep 2. 2 seems fair. 2, keep the other Serra. That punt. They didn't even use the Lava Dart. Love to play first. Leyline of Sanctity. Nothing else going on. Removal. I'll hit all my land drops, but tokens don't get bigger. Oh boy. I really don't want to go lower than this with opponent keeping 7. Let's try to get a land. This is very close to 2 Bitter Blossoms with a Force of Virtue up. And an Intangible Virtue. We should not have gone to Game 3, though. That's 100% on me. Yeah, what is going on? These decks should not be running Spell Pierce. There's a thing in the ice. Isolated Chapel's fine. So this is a free path, alternatively just untap an Untangible Virtue with Force of Virtue, make a 3/3 every turn. Is that good enough? Flipping thing in the ice is going to be clearing all of my blockers. Take a hit for 7, but then I'm 1 mana away from just casting Force of Virtue. I'm taking the removal while I've got the mana up. I could always just draw into a land and a leyline too. Completely in the realm of possibility. Yeah, if opponent just combos off here though, likely I'm going to die. I'm so surprised that they kept in the Aria Flames after they saw the Leyline of Sanctity. They can't target me with Leyline out. Given how this game started, if I would have kept the 7, I probably would have been okay. But if I top deck any generic white card, I'm going to create 2 3/3 fairies, hit for 3 this turn. Then they need to do 1 damage to themselves in order to kill them on the following turn. Alright, no Phoenixes yet. Although they are 1 card away from killing me. Yep, I don't think that's going to cover it. So I can sack the Silent Clearing. Whatever. Opponent's probably got me dead. That was my game to lose, and I lost it. If they have a Spell Pierce, I swear to God. Oh, that's not going to do it. Alright, well I tried. This means that Bitter Blossom's going to kill me, and it looks like opponent's trying to get me to die that way. Yep. Alright, well that's unfortunate. If I would have just kept that opening 7, Arya would have done nothing, and I could have found a way to deal with the thing in the ice. Well, first loss goes down for one that we should have won. Thing in the ice does make that match incredibly awkward, like so super awkward. It flips all of our tokens, and when we're trying to invest in a couple of good tokens and they can just clear them out by casting a couple of spells, it's over. We even had the right piece of hate in the sideboard for Arya, which most decks aren't even packing these days. Either way, decent start. So what would I feel like I'm missing in this matchup? Probably more fatal pushes. Dismember's probably not out of the question either. Not really sure if Blessed Alliance is correct or not. Yeah, Brad one, did you see that punt? That was so bad. I thought I was going to be all covered by just dropping Sorin, and then they comboed off, and I had extirpate for the Phoenixes, and so sad. Wow, no mana. Oh, yeah, switch back. So I'm also running 4, 8, 10, 13, 15, 16, 18, 22, 23. I'm running 23 lands. I should not be struggling this badly for mana. Oh boy. Alright, so slow lands for the lose. Wanting an untapped source for turn 2. Horizon Canopy without a dork gives me some hope here. Okay, Cavern naming human. So there's going to be a Kite Cell freebooter. They're going to take a... probably the Lingering Souls. It's possible they just take the Serra, but Lingering Souls actually gives me blockers and things that can kill them. Took one of the Inquisitions. They must like their hand. Oh, that's a Godly Shrine. That's an untapped land. First things first. Let's see what's going on. All right. Yeah, so I don't have any like targetable abilities, but they can't cast the phantasmal images. So I'm actually going to take the Mantis Rider because odds are they're going to have to draw a Cavern or a Seachrome Coast in order to cast the phantasmal image. But in the meantime, I need to get Mic Lock on. Really surprised opponent took the Inquisition. Yep, they can't cast anything. If they had a land, they'd run it out in Mantis Rider in combat. I guess they could have drawn like a Noble or a Champion. Just run it out main 2? Nope. Alright. Well, that means that my clock's getting real. Lifelink is oddly relevant. They didn't get in for anything, and they didn't get a block, so that's an odd attack from opponent. Thalia. Thalia makes it so I can actually cast Serra this turn. That's mildly frustrating. Well, I can cast the other Lingering Souls, and they shouldn't have Graveyard Hate main board. I'm casting the one from hand because first and foremost, it makes the most amount of sense with my mana. Second, they shouldn't have Graveyard Hate, so this one should be kind of safe. It's possible they're running Surgical for Hogak, but not likely. And then it also protects the other one from getting underneath a Kite Cell freebooter, which does feel relevant. Bitter Blossom. Alright, so I can flash back the Lingering Souls or put out Bitter Blossom. I actually am mildly concerned about where my life total is going to go if this goes long. So I'm probably just flashing back the Lingering Souls. Otherwise, this is just a dead card. I can also leave up the Shambling Vent as a 2-3, but it's possible they have Deputy of Detention. I think I want to get a different card name out there and try to get a little bit more board state with something else. I can start getting in. I don't really think it's relevant. My spirits are making it so that they can't attack. And being an aggro deck, that's just awesome. This attack makes me think that they drew another Thalia. I'm not going to be making that trade. Although this looks like an Aether Vial. Yep, Vial. Oh, you were correct. I need to flip Legion's Landing. Thank you, I didn't catch that. Kai's Guile. Versus attack, drop a Serra. Yep. I can't believe I missed that. Thank you, Bradbon. You eat the lifelinker. Oh well. This is going to be a Serra Angel pretty easily. Even a Thalia's Lieutenant Mantis Rider won't be able to get through that. It's going to be a very safe attacker. Yeah. Serra's Angel ended the game. Thank you for pointing that out. Alright, so Uriok Champion comes in. Just gaining life is relevant. Wrath of God comes in. Diversify my board clears. And Kaya can gain me some life and exile a champion. Is that good enough? Alternatively, they just sack a Noble Hierarch and I get a Spirit. Meddling Mage is also a concern. Let's diversify just a little bit for Meddling Mage. Yeah, I don't need all the champions. The good old modern opponent names a card or hits your spirit tokens. Take all the random garbage out of the deck. I think this means I'm probably just taking out a Intangible Virtue. Kai's Guile. Alright, whatever. Didn't know it, but tonight we're playing Commander. Just a bunch of one-ofs. We can keep this. It has removal, odd removal. Alright, and they didn't have a one-drop again. Odds are this is getting a Godly Shrine in response to the Kite Self Freebooter. Yep. Take a look, opponent, but you don't get to take anything. Force of Virtue. Alright. So this means I can actually empty my hand for another Kite Self Freebooter and actually have it be mildly relevant. Alright, what you got? Opponent can't actually Mantis Rider here. Thalia's Lieutenant. with nothing else on the table. I think that means I'm open for a Kaya's Guile. If they follow this up with like a Noble just to make the Lieutenant bigger, yeah. 100% Kaya's Guiling this. Running out the white source for spectral procession reasons. And Kaya's Guile is an instant, so going to do it when they put something on the stack, expecting to grow the Lieutenant. Phantasmal Image? Oh, this is going to be a blowout. Reflector Mage. Okay. Opponent sacks a creature, create a 1/1 spirit. Now, no matter what happens, Force of Virtue is going to let me swing in for 2. It took the spirit. Interesting. All right, so that's kind of giving me a read. I need to be wary of a Deputy of Detention. But I am flooding so hard. Yeah, I don't like how hard I'm flooding, but let's go ahead and just cast this. We can swing in for 2. We'll take 2 from the Reflector Mage. Opponent can do whatever shenanigans they need to. Intangible Virtue giving Vigilance is a little bit higher priority. Let's take a look at the sideboard. Did I take one out? I did not. So what I think I'm learning right now is that I need Intangible Virtue over Force of Virtue. What is opponent learning? Is this another Reflector Mage? It is. Alright, well, you're taking 2 life to bounce a token that attacks for 2, so I'm kind of okay with that. Means we're both just losing life slowly. And that's a Lingering Souls. Alright. Marsh Flat's definitely coming down. I was half expecting to need to use Silent Clearing this turn, but Lingering Souls is going to show its power here. Also diversifies my creature token names. Just everything you want in a card. Evasion, multiple bodies. Gets multiple buffs. And this might be a concession. Either that or they have a Deputy of Detention coming down. Cavern naming human means Mantis Rider is now on the table. Although they're tapping for colorless. There's the Deputy. This line was slightly weak to that. Easily take 4. Inquisition. Let's see what you've been squatting on, opponent. Bugler, Mantis Rider, Freebooter. Okay, Freebooter doesn't do anything. Militia Bugler is multiple cards. And Mantis Rider is a hasty threat. So let's go ahead and cycle this guy. All the lands. And that's another Lingering Souls. So I can take 4 damage here and swing back for lethal. Kite Cell is just going to have to come down as a blocker. They can't pay life for it. Alright, so I need to hit with 3, which means I can throw 2 spirits in front of the same Reflector Mage. And opponent should be realizing they're dead here unless they got another freebooter. And even then, they have to pay so much life, they'll still be dead to my tokens. Alright, well, that's a pain-free land, and that's game. Alright, well, tokens is showing a pretty impressive showing here. So we do move up to 3-1, and the only loss is because I punted. That was a bad punt. That was such a bad punt. Going back, though, I don't actually think there's anything I'm missing. So a 4-mana Planeswalker, maybe the third Serra should be Gideon Ally of Zendikar. If I'm going to talk about him, I should probably pull it up. So this Gideon will allow us to Anthem with his ultimate, give us a 2/2 with his minus, or with his 0, and can potentially just be a threat the turn after he comes down, which is a 5/5 indestructible. That's big enough to actually fight against some strategies like Grimag Angler and Hollow One, although Hollow One has been long gone. Anybody that was playing Hollow One has pretty much moved over to Hogak. But that allows us to actually Anthem our spirits, making all of our current spirits and future spirits better. So he's probably worth a slot. I mean, Serra kind of does something very similar by giving us an angel, but the emblem's harder to interact with and better for the go wide strategies. Turn 1, Inquisition. Turn 2, Shambling Vent. Or Isolated Chapel. Yeah, I mean, these are cards we put in our deck. Alright, looks like it's Phoenix again. Which means Inquisition can take the Thing in the Ice or the Manamorphose, whatever's going to enable their hand better. Potentially the Aria. Ooh, Silent Clearing gives us a lot of options too, but I need to figure out what's going on. This could also be Storm. Actually, Spire Bluff means more likely Storm. Nope, it's Phoenix. Alright, well, taking the Faithless Looting. I actually maybe should have taken the Pyromancer's Ascension. I maybe should have sat on that for a second longer because that's going to be a problem long term. And drew into a Thing in the Ice. Alright. That's a fatal push. Opponent has shown us Arclights, Pyromancer's Ascensions, and a Thought Scour. So they're going to Steam Vents, Faithless Looting, put the Arclights in the bin. Or alternatively, Thought Scour with a Pyromancer's Ascension active. I really need to get my clock going if that's the case. So I think that's going to be a Shambling Vent, stop on upkeep before they get a chance to draw a piece of interaction, and path then. Oh, I guess that's going to be a push. Push can wait. Yep, that's a Faithless Looting. Put 2 Arclights in the bin. Which means opponent's likely passing here, so I'll Fatal Push. Force of Virtue. Untap and Lingering Souls. And the reasoning for the sequence is Lingering Souls can now block the Arclight Phoenixes, which my opponent has 3 unknown cards in hand, but none of them enable the Pyromancer's Ascension. Thought Scour is going to be a setup. I'm expecting these 2 to come down this turn regardless of what else is in hand unless there's a Thing in the Ice. But this is allowing me to actually put some pressure on as well as playing defensively against the Phoenixes. Yeah, Blind Manamorphose means they know they're in trouble. Okay, so that's some enabling stuff for Pyromancer's Ascension. If they found another land, it's coming down. Oh, they had the floating mana. Never mind. It's coming down. Then that means I need to get my clock on. Got shot directed at me. That's odd. Yeah, that makes sense, actually. Let's see what opponent wants to do. This Damnation's pretty much a dead card. Alright, so Silent Clearing's a redraw. Wow. Rip deck. It's been nice tonight, but rip deck. Pyromancer's Ascension is basically online. The other 3 unknown cards are probably enabling bringing the Arclight Phoenixes back. And with nothing but a Damnation in hand against the instant speed deck, likely not going to make a difference. Spectral Procession here would be pretty good. I don't know how much Serra does. Serra making an Angel is just going to get flipped by Thing in the Ice. I guess I can trade with a Crackling Drake. Also makes it so that Phoenix can't attack in, but they can double block it. Alright, and this is already online. Opponent's deck is doing what opponent's deck does. Pyromancer's Ascension is also a little weird. Arya does something very similar, but I mean, that's a card that my deck wants to see. But doesn't require use of the graveyard, which so many people are packing hate for at the moment. Although I suppose there's a lot to be said about double casting bolts and cantrips. They're like 5 cards in. That would be 5, 9, 12, 14, 15 damage already pointed at us. Basically make the next spell lethal. Oh, is that a Cackling Drake? That looks like a Cackling Drake. Finale of Promise. That's pretty nasty under an Ascension. Geez, at what point are they going to mill themselves? So let's see. Shambling Vents is 3 damage. I can hit for 9. They need to take 2 from themselves. Or have me draw a Force of Virtue won't cut it. Odds are I'm dead here. But we'll let them figure it out. All the cantrips. So they find a bolt. It deals 6 damage. They probably have to point it at our spirits. They might be sitting on 4 bolts still. 4 bolts is 16 damage times 2 is lethal. So they're likely getting all 4 Phoenixes back. 16 cards left. Yep, Manamorphose can't trip away. What are the odds I survive on defense here? Yeah, probably not great. They're going to have multiple cards in hand. They can just run a Thing in the Ice, flip my spirits up, get 4 Phoenixes, hit for 12, shoot a lightning bolt at me, and that's game. There's the Faithless Lootings. 1 bolt, 2 bolts, you need all 4, you only have red mana left. 1 red mana left. Alternatively, they get back their phoenixes and attack in. I have 2 blockers. The unfortunate thing is these lists don't always run 4 bolts, so I actually have to sit here and watch this. Alright, going to 2 cards left in deck. That does give you the red mana, though. Alright, now I'm dead because I get 3 phoenixes back. Literally 2 cards left in deck. They made that as hard as possible. Being on Pyromancer's Ascension, Leyline of the Void comes in. 100% expecting them on Arya, but whatever. Extirpate also coming in. Leyline of Sanctity would be here for Arya, as we showed in the game that I punted incredibly hard. Damnation's coming out. Kai's Guile staying in. Push needs to stay in. Same with Path. Thing in the Ice is just so brutal against our strategy. Spectral Procession's mildly hard to cast. Bitter Blossom's a little slow, also hurts us. So maybe just all the Bitter Blossoms for the ley lines. Kaya exiling part of the graveyard feels relevant, but she's also going to be slow. With Leyline of the Void, that might be relevant. Whatever, this is fine. Alright, so opponent is the old Pyromancer Ascension build. Yeah, I mean, I have plenty of cards that care about the graveyard. Inquisition's live, Push is live. Legion's Landing might be a little slow, but it's a lifelinker. Opponent could barely count to 24 even with their entire deck. Maybe a little lifelink would make a difference. If only we hadn't punted the other game. But, oh well, we're still cashing out, and this deck's sweet. Anytime that you get to play 3 Serra the Benevolence, like, sign me up. Alright, opponent. Do you wanna finish boarding? You know what our deck is. It's tokens. There we go. Leyline of the Void, mana to cast Intangible Virtue, a path for the first thing in the ice. Sure. I swear, if they're on Arya, next leveled me, but whatever. Lingering Souls is also a good start. It's also not impossible. If I top deck a land, I'm going to plan on pathing my own spirit. We'll definitely see how this goes, but being able to cast Serra is going to be a really fast clock if they're stumbling from the ley line. Opponent also showed me an Echoing Truth main board, so I'm expecting this to get bounced. Another reason pathing my own spirits looks a little more friendly for my strategy. Force of Virtue. Force of Virtue makes us 6 damage, puts them on essentially 3 turn clock. Opponent does have 4 bolts in their deck, though. I don't think I want to hemorrhage my own strategy by getting rid of Serra. Path for a token with a unique name, though, seems kind of relevant. We'll see what it looks like in step. there's a Tarn. Opponent has 4 mana. We skip the turn 3 Arya, which is relevant. Just hard cast a Phoenix. Okay. Getting that Force of Virtue is relevant to hard cast, so. Serra getting gut shot here is going to feel awful. Oh, I should have attacked. I think I clicked through that. Path Thin Souls. Sorry, is that a late message I didn't see? Oh, the Faithless Looting into the Void. It's never a good sign. Got rid of Finale, makes sense. There's a thing in the ice. Alright, drawn into removal would be really nice. Well, there's another Faithless Looting. I really don't know what to do to correct that. Oh, they're just bending the Phoenixes at this point. I think they're looking for the gut shot. Alright, so first things first, I think I have to cash this out. Removal for thing in the ice is kind of important. Looks like I didn't get there. So let's go ahead and buff the spirits. Opponent actually might need to block with the Phoenix. Alright, they go to 4. That means they flip thing in the ice. They attack probably Serra for 7. I drop Sorin and flashback Lingering Souls. Wow, they're even cashing out the Canopy land. They are desperate. Alright, Bolden Serra. That was a good draw. Alright, I think my best line here is Force of Virtue now. Flashback the Lingering Souls. Lingering Souls will have 3 power apiece. No, that doesn't make a difference. Sorin create a 1/1. Died a Bolt and Gut Shot. Okay, so what I need to do here is actually just flashback Lingering Souls, force on their end step, and then cash in Sorin for an emblem, and attack in for 4 with both spirits. Well, a spirit. I'm chump blocking so I don't die to a bolt. Okay. So they do have the Arya, which means if we get to game 3, I need to Leyline of Sanctity. Oh boy, I need another white source. Alright, so I think I still need to force here. I can always force after. Sorin making a lifelinker should actually keep me alive. Wow, that was brutal. All right, make a 2/2 lifelinker. I really didn't want to lose a life by cracking this Marsh Flats, but I probably should have at this point. Opponent has 3 cards. If they're cantrips, they can just go off like crazy. So if they can't deal with the vampire, another out here is just drawing another Anthem effect. Oh no, I can still just force and kill them if they don't kill me this turn. Yep, that's a Phoenix. Ooh, boy. This is getting spicy. You got the bold opponent? Oh, all right, that was pretty sweet. So the emblem was going to make me a 4/4 vampire to finish them off. All right, Leyline of Sanctity comes in. Yeah, thanks, Bradwin. I did end up pushing it. I was waiting because I wanted them to try to commit into something, but that was definitely the line. All right, so Leyline of Sanctity comes in. I think that means that I have to go a little bit lighter on my threats. Probably a little like this. Extirpate might be overkill in this matchup. The Leylines actually can't get pitched to anything. I'm a little more inclined to trim on those and maybe keep a threat or two. We're running this deck to play Serra. That's all that we want. So let's go ahead and run like that. We have multiple ways to exile their graveyard. Opponent also got punished pretty hard by Leyline of the Void that game, so they might be taking out their Pyromancer's Ascensions or Faithless Lootings or Phoenixes. Like, Extirpate can always just grab a cantrip or something I'm concerned about. Thing in the Ice is also crazy annoying. I might be just pointing this at a Thing in the Ice, at least in this matchup. Well, we do move to 1/1. Black-white tokens was always a moderately budget list. I mean, if you look at my build, I have a lot of expensive cards as well as newer cards from Modern Horizons that haven't really dropped yet. Silent Clearing, Serra, Kaya's Guile out of, like, just all the random stuff. But for the most part, like Lingering Soul, Spectral Procession, Intangible Virtue, a lot of these are commons or uncommons that weren't really played a lot. And then we have Inquisitions and Paths and stuff that have been reprinted a couple of times. Leylines too, like the Leylines are going to make this crazy cheap when they come out in 20. And it's putting up a heck of a fight. Like, aside from me punting match 2 or 3 or whatever it was, yeah, this isn't keepable. Leyline of Sanctity. Urborg will let me tap Silent Clearing for cheapo mana. I think this is as good as we're going to get. Kaya's Guile can deal with the graveyard and make them sack a Thing in the Ice. On the draw, it's a little slow, but I like it. And I can run Silent Clearing here, but that means I'm going to have to take damage to cast the Intangible Virtue, so let's just start on a Plains. It's going to be a dual land on turn 2 anyway. Ooh, did opponent miss their land drop? This Serra Visions reads to me like they didn't have it last turn. It was on the top of their deck, and it's using to try to stack a future land drop. But Leyline is currently shutting off the Pyromancer's Ascension Lightning Bolt line and Pyromancer's Ascension. Or, sorry, and Arya. Well, I found a Steam Vents. I'm getting a read that's a Spell Snare, potentially a Spell Pierce. I'd prefer they just take the damage and not get a free card out of us. It's not like I need the Intangible Virtue. I currently don't have a threat. And, like, that's a perfectly valid thing to do with my mana this turn. Especially if they're missing land drops. Oh, and that's a Lingering Souls. Under pressure. Force of Negation, exiling Lingering Souls. With the Spell Pierce. Alright. Opponent got me. They totally got me. This is horrible in their deck. It's absolutely horrible in their deck, but they got me. They're also 10 minutes behind on clock. And the Blind Mana Morphos, alright. If this is into a Faithless Looting pitching 2 Arclight Phoenixes, I'm going to be a very sad person. Alright, how many did you find, opponent? None. Alright. Serra, Serra, Serra. We love you, Serra. And they didn't have another Force of Negation. Probably have a gut shot. Kaya's Gal should protect me against a thing in the ice. Currently looking at swinging for 6 with Serra active every turn. Puts him on a 3-turn clock. Alright, you got the sleight of hand. I think I also saw Lava Dart from opponent in game 1, so that's potentially pointed at Serra. Them not flashing back Faithless Looting probably means they haven't drawn into a Phoenix yet either. Alright, well, as long as opponent's tanking. The reason why this card is so bad in this strategy is you use this card to try to protect yourself against unfair things. It's pretty common knowledge in Legacy that when you're playing against something kind of fair like Delver of Secrets, you take out all of your Force of Wills because the 2-for-1 just isn't worth it. Having that here... Oh, they didn't even flash back the Faithless Looting. But making that line here means that they got rid of another card and they brought in Interaction when they're a pretty straightforward combo deck. Yeah, like them having that card in their hand really weakened what their game plan was. They're down to 1 card left in hand, and I have an Angel and a Leyline, which means it's going to be quite hard for them to figure out how to kill me here. Meanwhile, I'm holding up hate, I'm protected, I have a threat, and they're just so far behind on resources. Hardcast Phoenix. Finale of Promise. Alright, well, again, this is when we show opponent that you should be a little bit more considerate with the cards you put in your deck. We're going to create a spirit and exile all cards from opponent's graveyard. Then they don't even have the resources if they're holding a third Pact of Negation. Alright. We get a redraw. Alright. Well, that's sad, but whatever. Still have opponent on a one-turn clock after this, so they're going to have to find something kind of astounding. Anger of the Gods won't cut it versus the Angel token. Yeah, Aria of Flame would make us gain 10 life, but then they couldn't target us. Oh, they would actually have to target themselves. That's actually super spicy. So if opponent finds a Phoenix, they'll have one blocking, but still pretty far ahead. Starting to feel like opponent's doing a salty tank. Yeah, at this point I really wouldn't blame you for fast forwarding and just seeing how it turns out. There's another Faithless Looting, looking for another Phoenix, and that's game. Alright, so unfortunate, that could have been a 5-1. That really easily could have been a 5-1. I had the win in game 2 and then just punted. Let's go ahead and open our treasure chest because we can. Baneful Omen. Well, 25 play points is pretty decent. That's basically $2.50. Godless Shrine, playable. Mentor of the Meek is actually really good. I love that card for grindy decks. Ooh, that's a Colonnade. Salt Formation, Howling Mine, and Dwynnin. But, good play points. Alright, so let's take a quick look at the deck. Serra's awesome. This deck is fairly budget as well as competitive. It's always kind of been on the edge of the format and a good entry into the format. Gets you a lot of cards for interactive decks like Jund. Guys, I am thirteene. I do a lot of janky decks. Tonight was kind of competitive, but I have a wide range of random crap. Feel free to check out YouTube. Just search for Squirrel Dealer. If you like all of our content, all of our channels are being hosted on Twitch's Squirrel Dealer staff account. If you want to reach out to us, feel free to hit me up at thirteene on Reddit or hit us up on Twitter. If you have fun deck ideas, send it to decks@squirreldealer.com. My streaming schedule's up here. We do fun stuff every day. Feel free to like, subscribe. I'm doing this out of my own pocket right now, secondary job. If you really like it and you want to see more of it, let me know and I'll try to get more in. And thanks for watching, everyone. Tonight's deck was fun, and yay, Serra! All right, well, see ya.